We went to the Iberian card show in Madrid, Spain, and this is how the weekend went. We started the trip with a visit to Atletico Madrid Stadium, which was just unbearably windy, but it was still a really cool place to have a walk around. I came here straight from the airport, so I thought it might be a nice place to chill, grab a drink, but I just ended up getting slapped by the wind. I even brought some of my Griezmanns with me for the journey, and I'm sure they were buzzing, making a cut into my limited Ryanair baggage allowance. I then had a walk around the shop, and does anyone else still find it weird seeing Alvarez's name on the back of an Atletico shirt? I think I have that Man City rookie chase permanently etched into my brain, I don't know. Anyway, there were some really cool historical Atleti artefacts to look at, which was nice, like a little museum. But I believe this was next to the actual Atleti museum, so if you wanted to make a day out of it, I'm sure you could do a PhD in Atleti history afterwards. After grabbing some much needed sleep, on my second day I headed over to the Bernabeu, Real Madrid Stadium. Now it's crazy how big this place is. You know it's massive, but nothing quite prepares you for just how massive. I then decided to have a walk around their stadium shop, which was also absolutely massive. It had everything as well, amongst the shirts, footballs, scarves, everything you'd usually expect. They also had things like electric toothbrushes, which made me laugh. I did ask on our Instagram story if anyone owned a Real Madrid toothbrush and nobody owned up, so take this as your second chance. Honestly, it's like a tourist attraction in itself. Everywhere you look, if there's not products there's some mad wall display or lighting fixture, and you can tell they have put a lot of effort into making it an almost immersive experience, even though it is only the shop. It was then time for the Bernabeu tour. Now this was a crazy experience. They said it was for a minimum of 45 minutes I think, but it was pretty much self-guided. I spent around 2.5 hours there personally just on the tour, and if I was there with someone else or maybe a group, I probably could have stayed for longer. It was really nice being able to essentially walk through the history of the club and just the history of European football in general, as there were quite a lot of artefacts and interesting displays relating to other clubs as well. Some of these trophy designs are insane and the displays were just immense. So were the displays of the Ballon d'Ors, Golden Boots, etc. And since this tour was basically self-guided, you could spend as much time as you wanted to look around. There were signs guiding you through the stadium, giving you the space to explore on your own time. Now this was especially useful for areas such as the trophy displays, as there was just so much to look at and take in. I'm not a Real Madrid fan, but given they're such a long-standing giant of world football, it's an experience I think any football fan would enjoy. And I also think I can't go to a card show in Madrid to talk about football cards and then not go to the Bernabeu. That feels like some kind of crime. And they also had loads of photo opportunities in there if you're that way inclined. I'm not judging, I filmed the whole thing. An example is the rooms with the digital screens showing the players. I thought things like this were really cool additions to the tour. If I didn't look so tired and sweaty, I may have decided to partake. Everywhere you looked there were trophies, and look, my English team is Everton. It's not something I'm used to. I've been on the Goodison tour and it's really not the same vibe. I was happy to pay the price of a Bernabeu tour ticket to bask in the glory of someone else's club for an afternoon. At the top of the stadium, at the final section of the tour, you could look over the ground, and you could even go and sit in the stands, which I thought was a nice addition. There were even more displays and information stands to look at. Honestly, for your money, you do get a lot of information thrown at you. You could tell they put a lot of effort into immortalising and sharing their past history, which is actually quite commendable for a club whose success is very much still continuing in the current day. Given how big of a tourist attraction this is, all information was printed in both Spanish and English, which is great news for those who don't have particularly great Spanish skills, me included. At the end of the tour, we had representation from the women's team. I would have liked them to have been a bigger part of the tour, but I understand that they haven't really existed for all that long, so that is quite understandable. There was also some mention of the academy, which is really cool to see, and that wasn't something that I was really expecting. I then needed to complete the trio. I had to take the metro over to Rayo Vallecano's ground. Now this place was really cool, but as you can see, in a completely different way to the Bernabeu. It's a proper old school ground. I loved the huge wall mural and just general vibe of the area. Sadly, I wasn't able to visit the inside of the ground, but I enjoyed walking around it anyway. Finally, the whole point of the trip, the Iberian card show. I've never seen this at a card show before, but they had a map and you could place a sticker on where you had come from. As you can see, I was the lone sticker in the UK, and I thought this was a really cool addition. I first had a walk around the venue, just seeing who was vending, if any cards in particular jumped out at me. One thing I found really interesting and nice about this show was that there were a lot of collectors with tables rather than just the big businesses. The ratio of collectors to businesses was really nice to see, and something I would love to see more of in shows in the UK and across mainland Europe. There were also a lot of vintage cards here. I can't claim to be particularly clued up on vintage cards, but they're always quite cool to look at. We even had some football boots of some rather notable players, and of course, as you would expect, there was a lot of Lamine Yamal rookies at this show. It was honestly a never-ending sea of Lamine Yamal, not that I'm complaining about it. He's such a massive chase, of course, and going to a card show in Spain means you are going to see a lot of him. This show was definitely not lacking in huge cards, though there was definitely still a good mix of price points, and there was plenty of sealed boxes up for grabs if you wanted a card show rip. There really was something for everyone, really impressive for a show that, compared to a lot of others, is still relatively small. I then took the opportunity to chat to Ultimate Drops about some of their products.
We are Ultimate Drops. You can see some kind of our products. We are like Tops, like Panini, so we produce trading cards. We are a German company, a startup. And we got a lot of interesting products. For example, the Xavi box we made with Xavi Hernandez last year. It was like called the collectible, like a combination. You always got a card. For example, the Barcelona edition, you got the last match-worn jersey of his last match at Camp Nou. And when you open the box, inside of it, you can see there was a signed jersey from him with a certificate, and obviously we got some, because it's called the collectible, utility inside, and was a meet and greet. The meet and greet already took place, really special product, and here are the last match-worn shoes of him from the Emir Cup when he played at Qatar after he ended his career in Barcelona. Here you can see the patch card, triple book card, of course signed on card from Xavi from the match against Sweden in 2007.
Yeah.
So really special product.
We came from Milan to Madrid to see how was and how is the hobby in Spain. Today came a lot of people. We sold a lot of cards. We bought a lot of cards, so we are happy for how it's going today. Yeah. In the last years, we are seeing that the hobby is growing a lot. We are trying to do also our best to help it, of course, to grow in general, because first we are collectors and we love to share this passion for the sports cards. We saw that in the last 2-3 years we had a constant growing. We are happy for that, and we hope to reach big results like Germany and UK that we think are at the top at the moment in Europe.
It's always a pleasure catching up with the guys from Sporty Cards who had come over from Italy for the show. I then decided to cover the card show grounds I didn't get a chance to cover earlier. Now this card show was a long day. General entry was 10 AM to 7 PM if I remember correctly, and it was busy the entire time. I really didn't notice a significant drop off in the number of people there, which is really something and often quite different to the card show culture in other countries. I don't know how the people with early entry tickets did it.
Hi, I'm Mike Karts, and I have pretty much stuff for soccer and also NBA. It's really fun. I think it's a pretty amount of people, like really many people, and it's like I have a lot of cheap stuff and also expensive stuff. So I have a lot of things for everything. Also with kids, gifting things to the kids. So it's going pretty well. Yeah, I think it's starting to grow with some shows like this one. It's kind of. With people buzzing, I think they sold like 1,000 entries, so I think it's pretty in the correct path in order to grow. We are not such with the hobby in the level of UK and Germany, but I think we are on the good direction.
After catching up with Mike Cards, I then wanted to have a look at the top stand to see what they were doing for the show. By this point in the afternoon, the show was still incredibly busy, so I once again battled my way through the venue to reach my destination. Tops, as usual, had a really nice and recognisable display going on, and I think they may have had some Showtime boxes up for grabs, or at least there was a very long line next to the stand all day long. They also had the usual take a card, leave a card display as well. I then had a chat to a couple of my collector friends.
Okay, hello, good evening, here from Madrid at the Iberian card show. I'm the Stefano Sport card, and we mainly have F1 cards representing here in Spain. And here's the first time that we have a massive event here in Madrid, so we're really glad how the day is going and meeting all the collectors that from all over the world are here to share our hobby.
And yeah, I'm Virutas de Cartes here. We collect Formula One, and the hobby here in Spain is growing up really well, but we need to raise a lot more for Catch UK, because UK is the best here in Europe, you know?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. We are really
Happy.
no. We are happy with that, but
Yeah.
we are jealous. We're jealous
Yes,
that
so
we
jealous.
want to achieve that. So right now, on the last 2 years, mainly because F1 Collect starts like 4 or 5 years ago on top,
only.
and like 2 years ago, it has been growing really well. We are
Yeah.
really glad with that, and we hope that continues.
It's
And thanks to TFF for that.
Thank you, TFF.
Before I left the show, I had a last look around to see if I had missed anything. It was such a good experience and honestly a brilliant show that I'd really recommend making the journey to, even more so if you can make a weekend out of it. Everyone was really friendly and eager for a chat. It was just all around good vibes. The show was definitely big enough to spend much of the day there. Although it was smaller than some other shows I've attended, it did feel very busy and alive the entire time. There were 3 rooms all in all, and each was packed with different vendors. The ratio of collectors to businesses, sports to TCG, it just felt perfect. But it was then time for the trade night, so I headed back into the venue to see what was going on. I didn't bring any cards to trade myself, unfortunately, but I still wanted to attend to see what the general vibe was like and have a chat with some more people. The trade night was very well attended, and I saw lots of good trades going on at varying price points. All in all, though, it was a really long day, so after an entire day at the card show plus the trade night, I was honestly exhausted, but it's definitely a show that I'd love to do again in the future.